I'm Tia Borden with MiningIR, and we are here in Miami at the 2023 Mines and Money Conference. Joining me is Photinie. Photinie, thank you so much for sitting down and chatting.
Thank you for having me.
Now tell me about what you do and what your job title is. It's a long one.
It is a long one. You are correct. So I'm the Vice President of Economic Affairs and Climate Change at the Mining Association of Canada. So what does that mean? Really is I track, analyze, and also support the Canadian mining industry and its competitiveness within Canada and abroad, but more specifically also looking at climate change, looking at how the mining industry can be a pivotal partner in achieving net zero goals and commitments in terms of climate, and also ensuring that our member companies and the industry is set up for success to be able to support those goals and commitments.
And what's your background? How did you end up in this industry?
Well, my background's in economics, so that's what I studied in, and then I've actually am a career public servant. So I spent over 26 years as a public servant in the government of Canada, and I spent about 10 years of those, of that time as the Director General of Policy and Economics at the Lands and Minerals sector at Natural Resources Canada. So it looked at everything from geoscience all the way through the mining life cycle. It's an industry I fell in love with, and an opportunity to go over to the other side and see how industry works from an operational perspective rather than from public policy perspective. So bringing my experience and knowledge, and now being on the ground with operations and getting to learn how companies work and how the industry actually does their work from a mining perspective has been quite interesting, and I fell in love with it.
And Photinie, what is Canada's presence in terms of mining?
Sure. So Canada has its largest mining presence. So Canadian assets abroad is in Latin America. It's top region for Canadian perspective. There's over 300 companies that operate in the region, and it's about an $82 billion value in terms of Canadian perspective in the region. So clearly a top region for Canada. Latin America has all the minerals and metals, but there is a lot of copper, there is a lot of nickel, a lot of lithium. So if you think about decarbonization, if you think about battery metals, if you think about what the future may look like in terms of electric vehicles, Latin America can certainly power that energy transition. So there's a lot there that creates a lot of opportunity, and certainly Canada and Canadian companies seize that opportunity in the region as well.
And what are some of the challenges and issues that you think need to be addressed?
Sure, there's a few challenges and issues. One, as there is quite a bit of insecurity, there's quite a bit of criminal activity. So governments and companies and local communities need to work together to ensure that there's a secure and safe ecosystem for the companies to operate in, for workers to operate in, and also for proximate communities. So ensuring that level of security in the region is very important. Another issue is predictability of investor confidence. So what do I mean about that? There's been a lot of turnover, a lot of changes in governments in the region, a lot of changes in mining policy and mining regulations. So that creates a lot of instability. It creates a lot of issues with respect to investor confidence. Will this mining policy last? Will it change? How will my project be impacted by new regulations? So it kind of creates a little bit of a risky environment for investors that makes them a little bit more hesitant and skeptical to invest in. And the last issue I wanted to mention is the importance of the mining sector to tell that narrative in terms of the economic contributions, the social contributions to proximate communities that mining brings, but also to adhere to certain standards, much like Mining Association Canada's towards sustainable mining standard, which demonstrates sustainability, which demonstrates that it's not only what they mine, but how they mine it. That is really important. And the more that we're able to tell that positive story will allow for that public confidence and social license to operate, because there's still a lot of resistance in the region with respect to mining.
You mentioned that you think that there's a lot of opportunity for growth, especially within Canada. Now, in terms of growth, long-term and short-term, what do you expect to see, if you could dive a little deeper?
Absolutely. So I mentioned early on about the decarbonization, the electrification of essentially our communities, our society, looking at commitments with respect to climate change. The mining industry is certainly the driver to actually achieving those goals. So that's going to create a lot of demand for minerals and metals. That'll create demands in the short term, and that'll create demands in the long term as more of consumer requirements on electric vehicles. Everybody wants to drive an electric vehicle these days. They want to feel that they're contributing to that environmental sustainability, but without the minerals and metals to be able to actually build that battery, the electric vehicle battery, then we're not able to achieve those goals. So there's definitely an opportunity right now that, if set in the right manner with government intervention and support, industry being able to raise the capital they need on various projects that are moving forward, that we could actually seize that opportunity in the short term, which will also allow for more projects in the long term as well.
And what are you personally looking forward to for the coming year?
Well, for the coming year, I think it's we're at a pivotal moment for industry, for governments, for companies, and as I just mentioned, if the foundations for success is properly established, we could certainly achieve a lot in terms of economic prosperity for various countries, social prosperity for the communities that are close to projects. And I'm really looking forward to kind of getting on with it and actually seeing some of those results come to fruition in the next year or so.
Photinie, thank you so much for joining me today.
Well, thank you again for having me.